and welcome everybody to the new edition of Eric's Chase Race Reviews. As you can see, you don't see my face in front of the screen right now. You see a logo and other stuff. That's because I'm choosing to do this by an audio-only format, unlike last year. If you guys remember, I did with videos. I did the Chase Race Review last fall. I'm not doing that this year. I'm right now sitting actually just in front of a microphone at my computer, and I got my notes here because I got a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about today. I just want to introduce the show. I'm going to be starting, this is my new series, by the way. I hinted at it a few days ago in my last race. It's race 4. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I've been really contemplating. After last year, the Chase Race Reviews, I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't say it was a huge success, but it wasn't exactly a failure either. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed watching them and getting involved. You guys asked me questions and things like that, so I mean, that was pretty cool, and I wanted to do that again this year. But the difference is I was hoping to go for a longer show. If you looked at the video before you clicked on it, it's long, definitely longer than pretty much anything else you find on this channel, and longer than most of the things you find on YouTube. But there's a reason for that, and personally, I don't expect any of you guys to sit here in front of your computers and stare at this screen while I talk about NASCAR and all things up to date with it. I don't expect any of that from any of you guys at all. I expect you to be doing stuff. Like, what gave me the inspiration to do this show as an audio format is I felt like last year with the video and me talking straight at the camera, I wanted to talk more. I had to limit the videos to like 6 to 10 minutes because I feel like you guys can only stare at my ugly face for so long before you get bored and want to click away. And I felt like this year I wanted to do a longer show, something where I could really sit down and talk for longer periods of time, and just do whatever I want, just ramble, because I ramble a lot. You've already probably noticed I'm not the best at this. I'm still figuring it out. And I like the fact that it gives me a bit more time and more time to talk about what I want to talk about, and I don't feel like I'm awkwardly staring at you the entire time. And like I said, though, with this show, what inspired me to do it was when I work on my NASCAR stop motions and even my NASCAR parodies sometimes, I find myself, I get really bored, honestly, sitting in a room for hours on end just pushing toy cars in circles. It gets really boring after a while. So I just sit there, and I mean, what are you going to do? Just sit in a room by yourself, no noise, no nothing, to just push cars on the track? No, I can't do that, and I don't think very many people can. So I find myself, sometimes I'll listen to music, and other times I got to where I would listen to podcasts and other shows similar to this one, and I got to where there's a handful of them that I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed listening. I still listen to them when I work on my videos, and I don't know, I just felt like it gave me something to do, gave me something to entertain me while I'm working, because I mean, what else am I gonna do when I'm sitting there lolling along hours on hours working on those videos? So what I was just thinking is I wanted to do my own form of the show, and like I said, I don't expect anybody to just sit there in front of their computers and stare at the screen for hours and hours. And wait, I'm saying hours. This show is not going to be hours. This show is going to be I'm hoping that I can cut this off at about 20 minutes. I have the time in front of me here, and I've been going for over 3 minutes already, and it doesn't feel like that long. So this is going to be great. So yep, I've got the inspiration to do this show from all that, and I think it'll be more, I don't know if I should say entertaining, but hopefully more, just more interesting and more fun to listen to and more engaging and relevant in the fact that now it's only audio only, and you guys can't see my ugly face. This episode is really just an introduction because the chase obviously has not technically started yet. It doesn't start till after Chicagoland next Sunday as the first race of the chase, so this episode here is really just an introduction to the show. I'll talk about a little bit of NASCAR chase stuff coming up here in just a minute. But I really just wanted to just lay down the law what this show is going to be about. Basically, if you watched any of my chase race reviews last year, it's going to be a very similar thing. I'm going to have you guys ask me questions. I'll answer your questions here on the show each week. I'm going to do 2 shows a week. I'm planning on doing a Monday show, which is actually going to be the review of the previous week, because the race is usually on Sunday, and I'll upload my review show on Monday. and then I'll do another show. I'm thinking Thursdays is what I'll do when I'll do the other one, in which that'll be more just a random, like, oh, what do you guys want to talk about? I'll answer a lot of your questions then, and I'll be interested to see, like, just see how you guys enjoy it and how much you guys get involved, and that'll be pretty cool. Another thing is I'll be talking on this show. I'll be talking not just about reviewing the NASCAR chase races. I'll be giving predictions. I'll be individually discussing different drivers. I'm not going to just like talk about the whole thing as a whole because that gets boring. I'll try to be specific about people. I'll give you a lot of this is going to be my opinion, and I guarantee that most of you will not agree with all my opinions, and that's okay. Feel free to comment about it. Don't go like hate on me completely. I'm not going to be completely mean to anybody. If you saw one of my videos last year, I did that then. I'm not gonna be mean to anybody. I'm not gonna like be a jerk about anyone's opinion. I'm just gonna say what I feel like about different issues, and you guys can debate that amongst yourselves in the comments. I'll try to get involved myself. So I basically talked about all I need to talk about in terms of the show. So now I feel like we can go and get into actually some racing NASCAR chase stuff. I'm recording this basically just you guys. This isn't live in case you didn't notice. I'm uploading this here on Monday, so if you're watching it the day it comes out, it's Monday. I'm actually recording this at 3:15 Central Time on Monday. I just got home from school, so I'm recording this now. So it's pretty up to date. And if you're listening to this, we're just coming off the Richmond race, the final race to make the chase. And if you watched that, you saw Greg Biffle, Ryan Newman. They clinched their spots in the chase. And unfortunately for them, Clint Boyer, Kyle Larson, and Jamie McMurray, unfortunately, were eliminated, among others, but they were some of the main favorites. Brad Keselowski picked up his 4th win of the season, and, you know, it's been an interesting year, honestly, to see Team Penske turn it around, though, since from what they did back in 2013, it felt like they were just a little off. It felt like all the Fords were a little off in 2013. It's definitely not been the case, especially for Team Penske this year. When you look at Penske, they're Joey Logano with 3 wins and Brad Keselowski with 4 wins. That's 7 wins right there. They've won a lot of races out of that 2-car stable there. Other drivers that I'm going to go and get into. I wasn't sure how I was going to do this at first, but I decided I think it would be a good idea since they have a new chase format. I feel like I should probably just go ahead and discuss the general rules of the chase. Most of you guys already kind of know how it's laid out and the format and everything, but I feel like I should probably at least sort of mention it. Here's how it works. We start with 16 drivers that have made the chase, and it's going to be 4 rounds in the chase. We got 10 races. Here we go. After the first 3 races, so after we go to Chicagoland, New Hampshire, and Dover, after those 3 races, the top 12 in points will advance, and the bottom 4 will be eliminated. So we'll be down to 12. From there, we'll go to Kansas, Charlotte, and Talladega, the next 3 races. After those 3 races are over, the top 8 will move on. The bottom 4, 9 through 12, will be eliminated. So we'll be down to 8 drivers after 6 races. So then we'll go to Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix, races 7, 8, and 9. And after that, the top 4 in points will advance to the championship race at Homestead, whereas the other 4 will be eliminated. So then we're down to 4. As you can tell, we start at 16, go from 16 to 12 to 8 to 4, and now at Homestead, the final race of the chase, the highest finisher of those 4 finalists will be the champion. So it's not that complicated. The only other thing that I didn't mention is if you win a race during one of the segments, that also automatically bumps you into the next round. You don't get any bonus points, at least as far as I've been able to tell from what I've read, but it does guarantee you a spot in the next round. We can look at some of the seedings for how this chase is starting out right now. We have Brad Keselowski with 4 wins. He gets the 12 bonus points heading into the chase, whereas we got 4 other drivers, Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., all with 3 wins. They have 9 bonus points, and then you can keep going. You got Harvick back there with 2, Edwards with 2, a few guys with 1, and a couple guys with 0. But it's interesting. Now I'm going to go and talk a little bit about kind of individual things from teams. I got some notes here I wrote down. I wanted this episode not only as an intro, but it's also kind of an introduction to the chase and kind of sets up where everyone's at. And I'll give you my opinion on who's really got the best chance of winning the championship this year, because I'm sure everyone's got different ideas. This new chase is going to throw everyone for a curveball. Nobody knows exactly what to expect. Nobody knows exactly whether consistency will win it, whether winning will win it, whether it'll be an underdog, a favorite. Nobody really knows, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it turns out this year. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'll talk about the Hendrick cars a little bit. You look at guys like Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. Both of them have 3 wins. And honestly, Jeff Gordon basically having the best year probably since he won the championship in 2001, his last championship. The last decade has honestly been pretty mediocre for Jeff Gordon, especially by his standards. And this year really, and towards the end of last year I'd say, but especially this year, he's really stepped it back up. And I feel like that whole team is maybe the favorite at this point. I think he's one of the top 3 or 4 contenders. I think he'll be in the Final Four when we get to Homestead at the end of the chase. And that team is really, I mean, they've really been impressive. They had another top 5 run at Richmond the other night, and they've really impressed me. And I'm really expecting a lot out of Jeff Gordon. It's been a long time since I said that, but I feel like he's definitely gonna be one of the favorites. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, he's the enigma. I feel like, and it was almost this way last year. And I feel like a lot of people, same this year and last year, I feel like the month or so leading up to the chase wasn't the best for Jimmy Johnson. Last year it was abysmal. Last year I remember he had a bunch of DNFs, had a bunch of problems. This year he had a few, but I feel like the last couple of races at least he's sort of shown signs of coming back and running well again. But at the same time, Jimmy Johnson these last couple of races, feels like he has a 10th place car every race, and I don't know. I feel like that might get you through 1 or 2 rounds here in this chase, but I don't think that's gonna be what it takes to be a champion. But here's my only thing I'm gonna say. It is Jimmy Johnson. And I know at this point last year I was kind of not 100% sure about Jimmy Johnson either because of the struggles he had leading up to the chase. And obviously he proved me and pretty much all the other doubters in the world wrong as he went out and basically dominated that chase, didn't really make a single mistake, and won the championship. So I'm definitely not going to count Jimmy Johnson out, even though I feel like his chances aren't great. I still think they're better than most of the other guys. Other guys in the Hendrick camp, Dale Earnhardt Jr., I really wish I felt more confident about his chances, in my opinion. I feel like Dale Jr. is also similar to Johnson, is that he's had a lot of success this year, but in the last couple months, I feel like, or not couple months, maybe month, I feel like Dale Earnhardt Jr. hasn't shown the same speed, hasn't showed much dominance that he had a little earlier in the season, and there is no Pocono in the chase, neither is there a Michigan, so where's Junior going to get his wins? Maybe Talladega. That may be all he's hoping for at this point, and that's a tough one to rely on. So I feel like Dale Jr. has a shot. I feel like he and Jimmy Johnson come into this with a similar momentum, but the only thing is I feel much more confident about Jimmy Johnson's ability to turn things around than I do about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s. And so I feel like Junior will definitely be a threat, but I would not put him as the favorite at this point. Casey Kane, all 4 Hendrick cars made it in the championship, or into the chase. What a surprise, I know, right? Casey Kane, he won the second of the last race at Atlanta the other night, and it was probably his best looking race all year. Casey Kane, I really don't know what to do with Casey Kane. I feel like Casey Kane, the Hendrick cars are always so good, and it seems like he's always at the bottom, and I don't know why. I don't think it's Casey Kane's fault. I feel like it's just that 5 team has always... Oh, that's a phone ringing. See, I'm still so new to this that I have phones ringing in the background. That's all the way on the other side of the room. I'm way too lazy to get up to go answer that, so I'm just going to let it ring. I think they're done. I'm really sure right now that phone was about to fall off the table and onto the ground. It was shaking. Whoever was calling me must have really wanted to talk to me. I ignored them, though. I feel like such a freaking boss. Alright, well, that's basically it for Hendrick. I don't know where I was talking about Casey Kane. I got totally distracted. Casey Kane, I don't think he's going to win the championship. The end. Roush Fenway Racing is the next team I'm going to move on to. Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards both sneak into the chase. And I know I say Carl Edwards sneaked into the chase even though he has 2 wins. I don't think Carl Edwards is nearly as good as those 2 wins suggest. And this is tough because I'm a Biffle fan and I like Edwards. I like both those drivers. And I just feel like Roush Fenway Racing the last 2 years has been terrible in my opinion. I feel like they went from being one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the series just a few years ago to in the last 2 years has really just dropped off and is really nothing. Honestly, I don't think either of them has a chance. Biffle, my God, Biffle, on the night you needed to show up, really, and legitimately prove that your team deserves to be in the chase, you didn't. And I'm talking about the other night at Richmond. They did not show up at all and just got lucky that they already had a decent enough cushion that they still made the chase. I don't feel confident about either of their chances. I feel like if either of them's going to win it or have any chance, I feel like it's going to be Carl Edwards just because he does have the 2 wins. And in my opinion, he's the only one out of that whole camp that's actually led some laps this year and actually looked like an actual decent car that isn't just a go and go home, start and park guy, because that's what Stenhouse and Biffle have looked like for a lot of this year. I know I'm being kind of harsh because obviously they haven't been that bad. They're both in the chase. But compared to other chasers, I feel like neither of them are really as strong as they need to be. And it's going to be Roush still got some rebuilding to do, especially with Edwards leaving next year. Don't know what they're going to do in their future. Now I'll move on to Penske. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. These two are among my favorites, in my opinion. Not favorites personally, because I really don't like Brad Keselowski at all. I'll make that clear right now. Joey Logano's not bad. Make that clear as well. You got Team Penske is basically looking as good as they ever have since they came into the sport. Honestly, Keselowski's probably better right now than he was when he won the title in 2012, and that's definitely something for other guys to think about. Joey Logano, I feel like his cars and stuff have honestly looked just as good as Keselowski's, and I don't mean this as a knock against Logano, but I just feel like he doesn't have the experience and just the quite what Brad Keselowski has. Brad Keselowski's been around not much longer than Logano, really about the same amount of time as Logano, really, but Logano started so much younger. Keselowski's a little older. I feel like Keselowski, it feels like they're both. I feel like they're both veterans at this point, but Keselowski's got one title under his belt. I feel like he really knows how to get things done, and I just have more confidence in the ability of that 2 team to get it done than I do of the 22. I feel like both those guys are going to be Final Four contenders, but I feel like if I had to pick one of them to win the title this year, I'd have to go with Keselowski. I'll move on to Stewart-Haas Racing. They got Kurt Busch in there along with Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick. He may just be the favorite, despite only having 2 wins, even though I know there's a bunch of guys with 3 and one guy now with 4. But he only has 2 wins, but he has 5 second-place finishes, and I feel like that definitely stands for something. I feel like Kevin Harvick, it's similar to when Matt Kenseth moved from Roush Fenway to Joe Gibbs last year. They just showed up this year, and Harvick has looked better than he has probably in his whole career, honestly. I'm surprised he hasn't won a championship yet, but then I remember Jimmy Johnson is in the sport, and I realized why. But Kevin Harvick this year, I feel like has a really, really good shot. He's definitely going to be in the Final Four. I feel like. I'll tell you who I'm picking as the champion in a little while. But that Kevin Harvick's definitely up high on the list. If you're doing some sort of bet with your brother or something, I'd definitely lean towards Kevin Harvick. Kurt Busch is the other guy, the Stewart-Haas car stables. Kurt Busch is one of a couple guys. I'll go and mention them: Eric Almirola, AJ Allmendinger, and Kurt Busch. In my opinion. I don't mean this is a bad thing, but I feel like this is my problem with the new chase, is that I honestly feel like those 3, maybe Kurt Busch not so much, but especially Eric Almirola and AJ Allmendinger, I feel like they honestly lucked into this chase berth. I feel like, yeah, they won a race, but neither of them have been very good this year. Even Kurt Busch really hasn't been that great this year. I mean, they'll have some top 10 runs here and there, but I feel like none of those 3 really deserve to be in the chase, and I'm not saying really anyone else necessarily does. Like, I'm not saying Clint Bowyer or Larson or McMurray really deserve to be in the chase either, but I mean, honestly, I feel like Bowyer, Larson, or McMurray would have a better chance at the championship than Kurt Busch or AJ Allmendinger or Eric Almirola. That's just my opinion, and that's my problem with the new chase, because you think about it, Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth almost missed the chase this year. I mean, not like they weren't like on the hairy edge, but like people were worried up until just a couple of weeks ago that Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth, a couple drivers that I honestly think this year have proven that they can get consistent finishes and be top 10, top 5 race-winning contenders on a pretty decent basis. It's crazy to think that those 2 guys almost didn't make the playoffs, and AJ Allmendinger or Eric Almirola did. I mean, I'm not trying to be like rude to Allmendinger or Almirola. They're both good drivers, obviously. They're in the Sprint Cup Series, but neither of their teams or drivers, they just don't have what the Harvick or the Gordon or the Johnsons have. They just don't have anywhere really even close to that at this point. And the fact that they almost bumped champions like Kenseth or really good drivers, I feel like Ryan Newman or even Greg Biffle, who's kind of struggling, I know that. But the fact that they almost bumped guys like that out really surprises me and almost makes me not like this new chase. I'm glad it didn't happen because that would have been annoying. But I'll move on. Joe Gibbs Racing, I just want to mention a little bit about them. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin are both in the chase, along with Matt Kenseth. So Gibbs got all 3 of their cars in. Yay, I guess, if you're a Gibbs fan. But you know, it feels like Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin have not existed in the Cup Series for the last couple of months. Neither of them have been in contention for anything at all, really. I feel like Kyle Busch hasn't won since way back, I don't even know when, began like first third of the year. What was it, California, I think he won? I don't even know. And Denny Hamlin, it's been since Talladega where he won a race, and that was a restrictor plate track, so you know anyone could have won there. I'm not trying to be mean. I like both these drivers, but I just feel like those two guys really don't have what it takes to win a title right now. It's weird because last year I feel like Kyle Busch and even, well, Denny Hamlin I know had his injury, but I feel like that team ran okay, at least when he came back. Kyle Busch especially had a really good chance at a title last year, and he came up just a little short. I can't remember exactly where he finished. I think he finished fourth. Still really good. But you know, this year the whole Gibbs team has just fallen off just a little bit. Not to the point where they're just not winning races. I still feel like all those guys, even Matt Kenseth, I haven't mentioned him yet, they're all finishing top 5, top 10 pretty much every week, but they just aren't winning races. And I don't know, when it gets to the chase time, that winning races I feel like isn't as important, but it's still, you're still going to want to win and still need to have a dominant car at least a few times in this chase to have a chance at the championship. Matt Kenseth, I didn't mention him from Joe Gibbs Racing. I feel like he's the only guy there, honestly, that has a realistic chance of possibly winning the championship. I feel like Kyle Busch has been through so many struggles. Denny Hamlin just hasn't really shown up recently. But Matt Kenseth is the only guy who in the last couple of weeks has actually been in contention for wins. You look at Atlanta, you look at Bristol, he was leading late in the race both times, almost won, got top 5s both times, and he was running in the top 10 at Richmond the other night until he hit the wall. So I feel like that's the only team in the Joe Gibbs stables at this point that's actually like performing anywhere close to a championship contending team right now. And I feel like I don't think he's a favorite. I don't even think he's really a Final Four contender at this point. But if anyone was to do it out of Joe Gibbs Racing, I feel like it'd be Matt Kenseth. He's more my dark horse this season. I know it's weird to think of the guy that won 7 races last year as a dark horse, as an underdog coming into the championship. But of all the guys that have a realistic chance, I feel like Matt Kenseth's at the bottom of that list. But, you know, he still has a realistic chance, so I wouldn't say it's not going to happen. That's really all I want to talk about. I've run a little bit over now. We're getting up around 22 minutes almost now. And, it's really all I had to talk about in today's video. But I just want to go and finish it up by saying this is basically going to be how it goes. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Like I said, I don't want you guys to just stare at your computer screen while you watch this. I hope you're doing something at the same time. This is just something going on in the background. Maybe you're on the bus to school, in the car, working on one of your own stop motion videos like I do. And you know, hopefully you enjoy this, and this is a fun way for you to get some of your NASCAR news. So leave a comment down below if you have a question you want to ask me. I'll be answering questions on Thursday in my next one, and I'll answer as many as I can. I don't know how many I'll get. I usually don't get that many, so I'll probably be able to answer them. And I'll see you guys later. Go ahead and please subscribe if you haven't already. I got another NASCAR parody video in the works. I have like 2 actually. One of them is going to take a really long time, so it's going to be a while till we see that one actually come to life. But I got another one in the works that I might be able to upload this week. Don't actually know. When I say I might, let me put it this way. I've written the script, sort of, but I haven't filmed it and I haven't voiced it or anything. So who really knows what to expect? I don't even know if it's going to be reality. But that's the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And I guess that's all I have to talk about. I'll have to come up with a more clever name for this show. I really don't. Eric's Chase Race Review, I mean, that's okay, but, I mean, this video wasn't a Chase Race Review, so, I don't even know. Whatever. See you guys later.